Item number 2 here today. I just want to go over some NFL hot takes, and I want to try to be positive because, look, you know me. I can go on all day about people who just suck and nobody wants to be realistic about. Like I wrote the Jackson Dart profile yesterday. I think he's a 6th or 7th round pick. I can do that for fucking 50 of these guys. Because this time of year, everybody's wonderful. Everybody's going to turn out to be a hit. Nobody sucks. Follow the leader mode. And then 3-4 years from now, half the fucking first round gets their 5th year option declined. And then we wonder what happened. I know how this story works. I want to try to be positive here in the sense that I'm going to give you a list of names, a short list of names of players that, like, I don't understand why nobody's talking about them. They're probably actually first round picks, but the fact that the rest of the NFL draft community is so fucking goddamn stupid, you'll be able to get them and they'll turn into steals. So these are players that I'm basically, hey, I'm hammering the table for. These are Trey guys. Make sure you remember that they're Trey guys. And that's basically what we're going to cover here today. So I'm going to give you 3 names, basically. And I can give you more, maybe another recording, but I'm just going to give you 3 names here today. I think all 3 of these guys should probably be first-round picks, maybe back of the first round, middle of the first round, whatever. But because the NFL draft community just has no clue, you'll be able to get them at discounted prices. Like a perfect example of this last year is Ladd McConkey, to where I called him the next Cooper Kupp. Nobody wanted to fucking listen to me. Hey, I don't really want to pick a slot receiver in the first round, but I will. But I much prefer if he's there in the second round, and that's exactly what happened. So I'm going to give you 3 names here, and we'll get into the first one. Number 1, let's go back to the screen share. Number 1, Elijah Arroyo. And I just want to pull up his so this is his Senior Bowl footage. I think a very important misdiagnosis that people make during the NFL draft process is they fail to recognize that then is then and now is now. When, I don't know, maybe weeks 1 to 5, I watched Arroyo and I'm like, I like him. I wouldn't pick him in the first round, but I like him. And then during the second half of the year, you could just tell, because this is a guy, he suffered some knee injuries really early on in his college year. It didn't look like he was it looked like he was 90%. Well, what was he going to look like when he was 100%? And I think the second half of the year really showed that. Holy fuck, man. I mean, he's out there running routes as a receiver on the outside. I think he can line him up inside. You can put him in that big F role. I think you can do 1,000 different things with this guy. And then he goes to the Senior Bowl. What the fuck, man? Like, in a good way. So let me just play this, and then I'll talk about it later. There he goes. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Nobody could cover this guy. Nobody covered him the whole fucking week. By the way, a holding call, too. Nobody covered this guy the whole fucking week. Yeah, I mean, come on. Yeah. So here's my NFL draft hot take. I think he's the best tight end in the draft, and I don't think it's close. I think you're looking at another, and again, he's more polished than this player coming out. That's Jimmy Graham. That's going to be Jimmy Graham. Yep. And by the way, I think he'll be better than Jeremy Shockey. If you want to use that like Miami thing, I think he's going to be better than Greg Olsen. That dude, you have no idea how good that guy is. Like, you have no clue how good that guy is. Tight ends don't do that shit. Tight ends, like, do you understand how hard it is to create that level of separation as a fucking tight end? Nobody could cover him. By the way, during the Senior Bowl game itself, which that clip didn't show, he totally just mossed a fucking guy in a 2-point conversion. I'm just telling you right now. And again, I'm going to knock on some wood here. Maybe you can hear it, but I am knocking on some wood. I would be heartbroken if this guy got hurt. I don't want to see that happen. But if he's healthy, I'm telling you right now, on my tight end list, he will be number one. I don't think it's close. I really don't. Like I think he could easily wind up being a top 15, top 20, top 25 guy in the entire draft, regardless of position. And let's just run through some of the tight ends here. Tyler Warren couldn't beat out Theo Johnson the year before. Now all of a sudden he's a top 5 player in this draft. Wrong. No chance. Colston Loveland, which I like. I like Colston Loveland, but he's not like an inline tight end. Like he's not. Now he can block, kinda. He can block. It's not like he's a fucking sieve at it, but he's really a big F. Like he's really. I mean, he kind of runs routes like a wide receiver. He's really like the rich man's Jawan Johnson in all reality, which there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you need guys like that who can catch the ball and make plays, and the big slot role is a fucking awesome thing to have, but he's not Gronk. Like that's not the profile that he is. And then you have guys like Mason Taylor and Harold Fannin and Terrence Ferguson, but those guys are like a tier below even that. I think Arroyo's number one. If he's there in the second round, that's a guy I'll just turn the card in every single time. Second, third round, if he's still there, mark me down for Elijah Arroyo. Next, and this one doesn't make a lick of sense to me. I don't really fucking understand it. It blows my mind every single time, and that is JT Tuimoloau. I think he's a top 10 player in this draft. Like I don't really get it. There's no hype around this guy. First of all, we're talking about a guy who had, how many sacks did he have this past year? He had 12 and a half sacks this past year, which is fucking really good in the Big Ten. He's a former 5-star recruit. When he's on, this dude plays like his fucking hair's on fire. And my comp for Tuimoloau, do people remember when Tuimoloau was coming out of USC? His sack production was fucking there. His sack production was off the charts at UFC. Nobody wanted to talk about him. I don't understand why. And now he's a really good player for the Chargers. Take that, turn it up about 3 notches, and then we have Tuimoloau. I think he's one of the 10 best players in this draft. I don't understand why nobody's talking about him. Again, a former 5-star recruit. He's a freak fucking athlete. He was the best pass rusher on a team that won the national championship with a quarterback who sucks. By the way, with a defense who was really good. By the way, tore up the fucking playoff. But I just want to show this clip really, really quickly here. By the way, quick timeout on a side note. Anybody who works for The Athletic, they don't have any respect for themselves. Anybody who would willingly put their shit behind a paywall when they have their own audience, you have no self-respect for yourself, but that's another story. By the way, I disagree with everything this Dane Brugler says right here. Fashanu won most of the reps. I don't agree with that. If you watched this Ohio State-Penn State game, I guess 2 years ago now, nobody thinks that Fashanu won most of the reps, but that's fine. That's irrelevant. Let's just play these two really quickly. By the way, this is a first-round pick who played fucking really good this past year for the Jets. Like this guy, this Fashanu, he's a hit. He's a hit for the Jets. Like tackles are hard to find, and he's going to be a good one. Take a seat, buddy. Take a seat, buddy. One hand overpowers him. How's this guy not a fucking top 10 pick? How's he not a first round pick? I don't understand it. I really don't. I really don't. I don't get it. By the way, let's just pull up because this guy if you just watch the college football playoff, if you just watch the college football playoff, you're like, holy fuck. 12 and a half sacks, 2 forced fumbles. He has a sack against Notre Dame, and he got hurt in that game, by the way. Or maybe it was the Texas game he got hurt. Regardless, he left the game in one of these early. Sack and a half against Texas, 2 sacks against Oregon, 2 sacks against Tennessee. This dude was a fucking monster when it counted, which, by the way, I don't think that can be ignored in all of this process. Tuimoloau, I mean, a lot of this Ohio State team, they were waiting for the playoff. This was a team that brought back basically several guys like Tuimoloau. He could have went out the year before. He could have been in the 2024 draft. So guys like Jack Sawyer came back. A lot of these guys, both the Ohio State running backs came back. Abuka comes back. A lot of these guys, they're sitting there waiting for the playoff. Those guys turned it up a notch in the playoff. And he beat the fuck out of everybody in the college football playoff. Beat the fuck out of Fashanu. 12 and a half sacks, two forced fumbles this past year. And somehow Shamar Stewart is ranked about 40 spots ahead of this guy. I don't get it. I don't get it. I truly don't get it. Here's how highly I think of Tuimoloau. I'm leaving when we do these NFL mock draft simulators, I'm leaving the draft with him in just about every single scenario, I would think. But here's how highly I think of Tuimoloau. Everyone has Abdul Carter in a tier of his own, which I'm not going to disagree with you. He's about as close of a carbon copy of Micah Parsons as it gets. He's not Micah Parsons runs into 4.3s. He's disgusting. I'm not telling you that he's going to be the next Micah Parsons, but he's fucking goddamn close. If you told me Tuimoloau turns into a better pro than Abdul Carter, I don't think that's crazy. Now, nobody fucking says that. Everyone, when I look at he's not even going into the second round half the time. I don't get it. So, again, Tuimoloau, I don't understand it. And again, we're talking about a premium position. We're talking about a pass rusher with sack production, 5-star recruit playing for Ohio State, helped them win a national title. Nobody likes him. Okay. I guess I will happily turn the card in for him every single time in the second or third round or wherever the fuck he's going to go. I will leave the draft with Tuimoloau every single time. And then the last name I want to give you is Travion Henderson, who is my number 1 running back. I think he's the best running back in the draft, and I don't really think it's close. I don't really think it's close. He's better than Genty. He's better than anybody you want to fucking say. By the way, here's what people really need to understand. If there's going to be a back in this draft who really is a 3-down back, it's this fucking guy. You ever see him block? You ever see this guy block? Here you go. You'll find at least 25, 30 fucking blocks exactly like that if you really watch him. That ain't no fucking blitz and safety either. That's a linebacker. That's a linebacker. Yes. He's nasty in pass protection. Absolutely not. He's the best pass blocker in the draft, which again, very important. He's going to be on the field all 3 downs for whoever picks him. By the way, number 1 running back recruit in the country coming out of high school. He's an absolute fucking freak. He went 7.1 yards per carry in the Big Ten while winning a national title, and that includes going against Notre Dame. That includes going against Tennessee. We're not talking about he's playing with Iowa's schedule, and then Iowa's not playing any good teams outside of the ones in the Big Ten. No. He's playing against Ohio State. He's playing against Notre Dame. He's playing against Tennessee. He's playing against Oregon twice. 7.1 yards per carry, 10 touchdowns. By the way, a huge factor in the receiving game. And here's a little stat for you that I don't think people understand. So, by the way, here's the trajectory here. Absolute motherfucking stud as a freshman. He's banged up the next year. Then he's coming off the injury, kind of not 100%, but still pretty good as a junior. Could have easily declared. Here's a stat for you. And then he comes out as a senior, and he's a stud. Rips off the 75-yard receiving touchdown against Texas. Here's a stat for you. As a true freshman, in this 2021 season, he had more receiving yards than Emeka Egbuka and Marvin Harrison. That's a fact. That's a fact. You can look it up on your own. That's a fact. 4 receiving touchdowns as a freshman. Yeah, I don't get it. I just like, he's actually genuinely worthy of being a first round pick. He's the best running back in the draft. I don't think it's close. He can play on all 3 downs. I think he's going to be better than Jahmyr Gibbs. I think he's going to be, if you took Zeke's skill set and then injected Jahmyr Gibbs into Zeke, that's what I think he's going to be. Best pass protector in the draft. It's not close. The receiving work, like, he's running sluggos on the outside. And again, I'm going to say this. Human evolution is very, very important when it comes to this stuff. The best running backs coming through the pipeline into college are going to be the ones who are the best in the receiving game. And I'll give you a perfect example. Last year, I said Bucky Irving. He's the best running back in the draft. He had 43 receptions his last year at Oregon. Guess what happened? He's the best running back in the fucking draft. Point for Trey. Look at all the ones coming through college. James Cook, really good receiving back. Barkley can obviously do things in the receiving game. Derrick Henry is his own little category. He's an anomaly. Let's not go there. But McCaffrey, really good in the receiving game. All the good backs who are going to come through the pipeline of college, they're going to have one thing in common. They're really good in the receiving game, because a little unknown secret about all this stuff is the more versatile in terms of things you can do, the harder it is for defensive coaches to game plan around you. So, hey, it's 3rd down. It's a passing situation. I don't know if they're giving a check down to Henderson. I don't know if he's in there to block. By the way, he's fucking great at both of those things. Ran a really fast time at the 40-yard dash. He's a different animal. Like, I don't understand why anybody thinks that Genty's better than this guy. Number 1 recruit coming out of high school. 7.1 yards per carry in the Big Ten. More receiving yards than Marvin Harrison as a freshman. Okay. Okay. Yep. Again, please help me understand why nobody thinks that this is the best running back in the draft. I don't think it's close. So those are 3 little hot takes. Feel free to comment. If you want me to talk about anybody in particular, I can do that. Maybe I'll add a couple more guys the next time I do this recording. But Arroyo, Tuimoloau, and Henderson, they're like 3 guys. It looks like some of them might be there in the 3rd round. That's an easy steal. So when I do the NFL mock draft simulators and I just come out of the draft with those 3 guys every single time, don't be surprised.